Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar with SC Realtors. My name is Katie Lance, founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting and the Get Social Smart Academy. And I'm so excited to be hosting this webinar alongside SC Realtors. Big shout out to SC Realtors for inviting me back for part two. This is the Digital Mastery for Realtors series where we're talking all about AI, social media, content creation. And today it is part two. We are talking all about leveraging social media for real estate success. So welcome. As you guys are joining in, comment in the chat, say hi, let me know that you can hear me okay. Let me know the sound's coming through. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Would love to give you a shout out. Today, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to dig into all things social. We're going to talk about Facebook and Instagram and content creation and LinkedIn. And really, we're going to talk about how to get smarter about those platforms right now in 2024. We're at that halfway point in the year, which is crazy. So we're in the summer and the halfway point. So now is a great opportunity to look to see where are we at, where are there opportunities for improvement. And as I always say, social media is not the end all and be all. It's not the silver bullet. But when done right, it can make a huge difference in your business. So welcome as you guys are joining in. I can see Beth is here, Kimberly, Tracy, Teresa, Michelle. Good afternoon. Good to see you guys. I am tuning in from California, so I'm still on coffee time. I know you guys are on lunchtime. So welcome. We've got Aiken, South Carolina in the house, Edgefield in the house, Charlotte. Good to see you guys. Welcome. Somerville in the house, Charleston. Fantastic. As you guys are tuning in, comment, say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from. So the format for our webinar today, we are going to go for about an hour. Everything is recorded. So if you miss something and you have to leave early, it's all good. It's all recorded. All of you are muted also, and it looks like you're not on camera. So that's always a good thing. I know a lot of folks are excited when they don't have to be on camera. So I am the only one on camera. You're all muted, but if you have questions, I would love this to be as interactive as possible. So feel free to put your questions in the chat, or you can use the Q&A box as we go through our time here together today. We'll also have a little bit of time at the end for questions as well. Hey, Jeff, good to see you. Hello, Greenville. Scott's here from Greenville. Good to see you. Hello, Kathy from Hilton Head. Welcome. All right, so let's dig in. I would also recommend, as we go through our time here together today, take out your pen and piece of paper, take notes if you're at a place where you can take notes. At the end today, I am going to be sharing a link to my slides. So if you'd like to download all my slides at the very end, I'm going to share a link where you can download those. But feel free to take pictures of anything you see on the screen. If you see something that's an aha moment, take a picture, post it to social, tag me, tag SC Realtors, and I'm going to hop on social media later and would love to connect with you guys. So for those of you who aren't familiar with me, again, I'm Katie Lance. I'm the founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting and the Get Social Smart Academy, author of the book Get Social Smart. I've been featured in Inman News, Huffington Post, Social Media Examiner, all kinds of great publications. And for the past 10 plus years, my husband and I have been working side by side. I work with my husband, Paul. We've been married 22 years, been in business together, actually now almost 12 years. We have two teenage boys who keep us very busy. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. In fact, I just a couple days ago on Amazon published my new social media 18-month planner. So if you're looking for a good planner, it's over on the Amazon, which is exciting. But I share all this with you because my philosophy when it comes to social media, as I said a second ago, I don't think it's the end all and be all. I don't think it's the silver bullet, but when done right, it can make a huge difference in your business. And our passion is helping agents and brokers just get smarter about social media. I don't think as an agent, you have to be everywhere. I don't think you have to be on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Pinterest and YouTube and every other platform. But I think you need to pick one or two that you enjoy and that your clients are on. So we're going to focus on that today. I've got a QR code on the screen. If you've got your phone, take out your phone, scan that, give me a follow over on Instagram. And like I said, as we go through our time here together today, if you hear a nugget, you hear something that inspires you, take out your phone, take a picture, take a selfie. I know some of you are probably in your office with fellow colleagues, and tag me, post it, and like I said, I'm going to hop on the gram, hop on social media later to connect with you guys. Hello, Alicia, Holly, good to see you guys. Jennifer, awesome. And yes, Michael with SC Realtors just posted in the chat. Everything's going to be recorded and it'll be posted over on SC Realtors YouTube channel, which is fantastic. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you from Lexington. All right, so this is part of a three-part series. Part one, last month, we talked about AI, understanding AI in the real estate landscape. That recording is also available, I believe, over on the SC Realtors YouTube channel. Today, we're talking all about specifically social media for real estate success. And we're really going to focus today on what you can do organically, meaning what can you do on these platforms to get traction, to connect better with your clients, to attract new business, to expand your sphere without spending a whole lot of money. So I'm excited about that. And then part 3 next month, we are really going to dig into the content creation part of it, because a big part of what to post, a big part of your content comes down to what you can create. And I honestly don't think as an agent, you need to be spending hours creating content. So we're going to dig into that. That is going to be part 3, and that'll be next month. So I want to kind of start with some interesting statistics. I was looking at the NAR website, and NAR, as I'm sure a lot of you know, they put out lots of statistics around realtors and where realtors are getting their business. According to the 2023 member profile, they did a survey of active use of social or professional networking websites. And not surprising, but 67% of all realtors are using Facebook. And then you can see it kind of goes down from there. 49% LinkedIn, 38% Instagram, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. But what I thought was really interesting is not just the use of social media, but the other part of this survey talked about where are agents getting business. And this survey, again, this is part of NAR. You can find it on the NAR website. It says business generated from realtors' social media in 2022, so the year before. For all realtors that were surveyed, 48% of realtors are not getting business from social media. Now you might look at that and go, wait, why are you sharing this stat? Well, I'm sharing this statistic that basically half of realtors who were surveyed aren't getting business. And the reason why I'm highlighting that is because for a lot of folks, they will say to me like, I'm too late. This social media thing's been around for a long time. I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. So here's the good news. It is not too late. The opportunity is wide open. And even if you think, gosh, there's somebody in my market, there's somebody in my neighborhood who's doing XYZ, gosh, they're killing it on Facebook or killing it on Instagram. The good news is they're not you. They aren't you. And so the opportunity is wide open. And I would also take it a step further and say, it's not too late. And if you are feeling like a lot of realtors feel, where they feel like, oh, I'm too old, it's not too late and you're not too old, right? And I love this quote that's on the screen here. It always seems impossible until it's done, right? It always seems impossible until it's done. So the opportunity is wide open, which is exciting. By the way, Michael put the link to part 3 of the series in the chat. Thank you for putting that in the link there as well. Let me go ahead and also I'm going to drop my Instagram in the chat here as well, because just in case that QR code that I shared earlier wasn't working for whatever reason, I'll drop that in so we can connect over on the Instagram. Okay, awesome. So we're focused today a lot on strategy, because without a strategy, you're just throwing something against the wall to see if it sticks, right? It's the, well, let's try this out plan, which isn't really a plan. And so the goal today is to give you a few tips and tools that you can use in your business right away to really take your strategy to the next level. So let's first start with Facebook. I'm going to talk about Facebook, give you some tips. Then we're going to talk about LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about Instagram, and kind of bring it all together at the end. Here's the thing with Facebook. I get a lot of questions about Facebook, about is Facebook still relevant? Well, Facebook still has over 3 billion active monthly users, and it's the most used social media network worldwide. 37.2% of all people on Earth are still using Facebook, and Facebook is the 3rd most visited website in the world. Now, I know from being a Facebook user, I've been on Facebook for quite some time. I think as I look back, it's probably been close to 15 years, which is crazy. It's a crazy amount of time. So Facebook has evolved a ton in those 5, 10, 15 years, however long you've been on the platform. And when I talk to a lot of agents with Facebook, a lot of agents will say, I've got my personal life over here, my personal profile, and then I've got my business life over here, my business page. And I like it that way. I want to keep it separate. And as much as I can relate and understand that, our business is not black or white, right? Real estate is a people business. And so it doesn't mean you have to share everything. We don't have to share every moment of our life, but there's an importance to both pieces of your personal profile and your business page. So I kind of want to deconstruct, especially in 2024, what you should post, how that's relevant, and kind of go through some of the nuances there. So I've got on the screen 5 tips for you in terms of just organizing your personal profile and your business page. The first thing is, don't be a secret agent. Okay, you may have heard this before if you've been in real estate for any period of time. And what this simply means is, on your personal profile and your business page, you want to make it really clear that you're in real estate, that you're in South Carolina, your brokerage. You want to have your phone number or your email or your website. And it's equally important to do this on your personal profile as well as your business page. the reason for that is when you get Googled, and we all get Googled, Facebook is usually one of the first things that comes up. It's typically like the top 4 or 5 things that comes up. And sometimes your personal profile is the first thing that comes up. So you might have your personal profile really locked down for friends and family, which is perfectly fine. But in your about section, that is a section where you can control what's public, what's not, right? So your contact information, that's something that you want to have open to the public. So if I find you on Facebook, it's just because I'm trying to find your email because I want to sell my house, I want to make sure that, okay, yeah, they're in real estate. Okay, they're at this brokerage. Okay, here's their phone number or email. So that's number one. And I would say, if you're taking notes, check today, check your Facebook to make sure that if you and I are not friends, is that information open to the public? Could I easily find your information on Facebook? Number 2, the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule is 80% of what you post on Facebook, especially your personal profile, should be personal. Again, it doesn't have to be everything you're doing for the day, but it's your passions, your interests, your hobbies. It could be things around family or pets or travel or sports, whatever it might be. And then the other 20% business. Now, your business page can be all business. It's a business page, so it can be all business all the time. But your personal profile, you don't want to use your personal profile just for business. As a lot of you know, it's against Facebook's terms of service. If you use your personal profile exclusively for business, your personal profile can get shut down. So the 80-20 rule, if you follow me on Facebook, if we're friends on Facebook personally, you'll know I talk about travel. I post pictures of my kids periodically. I've got 2 crazy cats. You'll see those on Facebook. I love a great cup of coffee. I love a great glass of wine. So that kind of stuff is personal. And the thing is, when it comes to personal content, that helps us connect with each other. When we post something like, oh, what are you watching on Netflix this weekend? Or you're posting about your travels, that's a way we connect. And relationships are built with connections. Relationships are built with these small, tiny interactions over the course of time. Every like, every comment, every share, it adds up. So even though that personal stuff that you're posting isn't quote unquote business related, it's also a great relationship builder. It's just like how we would act at a party, right? Or a mixer or a backyard barbecue. The third thing I would say with Facebook right now that's really getting a lot of traction is Facebook Live, Facebook Stories, and Facebook Groups. And I would also add, in addition to that, Facebook Reels. So Facebook Live has been around for quite some time. And in fact, if you would like an example of Facebook Live, ironically, in a few hours, I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live over on my business page. But Facebook Live publicly over on business pages, it's not something that you need to do all the time. But what I think the benefit to a Facebook Live is great for timely content. So something that's really timely right now, like let's say that you want to talk about the market, maybe you want to interview a local lender, you want to share what's happening right now. It's really great for stuff that's in the moment. We saw a lot of people doing this during the pandemic. People were doing virtual open houses. That can still happen over on Facebook Live. When you go live on Facebook, a small percentage of the people who are friends with you, who like your page, will tune in. And then the longer you're live, the more people typically tune in. A lot of people will watch the replay as well. The nice part about a Facebook Live is it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not meant to be scripted. It's meant to be kind of organic and in the moment. And that's still a huge piece of content, I wouldn't say a huge piece of content, but Facebook Live is still a big opportunity if you're struggling a little bit with your Facebook business page. I know for a lot of folks, their business page sometimes looks like a little bit like a Facebook graveyard, where you post something and you get 1 like, 2 likes, one of them is your mom or your best friend. And so Facebook Live is a great way to kind of, I would say it's like putting jumper cables on your Facebook page. So that's certainly something to consider, going live once or twice a month on your business page. And then we have stories and groups and reels. So if you're looking at Facebook, if I open up Facebook on my mobile app, the top part of your feed is generally stories and reels. Stories last 24 hours. They're here today. They're gone tomorrow. If you're already posting to Instagram stories, it's easy to cross post over to Facebook. Stories are a great way to take people behind the scenes on your personal profile as well as your business page. Reels are short form video content, videos up to 60 seconds. Again, if you're already posting reels or TikToks, it's easy to repurpose that over to Facebook. And then Facebook groups. I would imagine a lot of you are part of groups, maybe in your local community, maybe you run a group, but being a part of a group, being a helpful person in a local Facebook group, realtors know everything about your local area. The best place to get a cup of coffee, best place to get a slice of pizza, the best contractors. So being a voice of helpful, which is really key. I'm just looking at the chat. Carol says live does not disappear when you're not live anymore. No. So with the Facebook Live, you're live, your broadcast live, and your followers get a notification that you're live. But when you go off the air, the recording stays on your page. Now you can always delete it, if you don't like it up there, but it does stay on your page afterwards. Maximize groups. Like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunities with groups. There's no shortage of groups on Facebook, of course. You might be a part of local community groups. You also might be a part of groups that you are just interested in. If you're a photographer, you might be part of a local photography group. If you are interested in a specific hobby, there's an opportunity, I think, to be a part of different communities. And from time to time, real estate comes up, right? Things that are related to your industry, your expertise absolutely comes up. And number 5, a big opportunity is highlighting other people. So I mentioned at the very beginning, I have 2 boys. I have 2 teenage boys. They're 13 and 16. And my advice to them is always be a noticer. Notice what's happening in the world around you, right? And I'll say the same thing for you on social media. One of the best things that you can do, especially on Facebook, is take 5 minutes a day, scroll through your feed, and notice what other people are posting. In fact, I call this Focus 5. I don't have this on the screen, but this might be something you want to write down. Focus 5 is simply the idea of taking 5 minutes, scroll through your Facebook feed, and find 5 posts that speak to you. Something that makes you smile or laugh or inspires you or is really interesting. And then you take a minute to like, comment, and interact. Now, don't just be a drive-by liker. Don't just jump in and like 5 things and then leave, but leave a meaningful comment. And a meaningful comment, by the way, is a comment that's at least 4 words. 4 words. So instead of saying, great pic, congrats, happy birthday, you might say, wow, Joe, that's a great picture. Where did you take that? Or happy birthday, Susie. What do you have planned today? Do you see how that feels different? Right? I use their name, I ask a question. And so taking a few minutes to interact and also, like I said, highlight other people. If you see somebody doing something really great, share that on your page. And one of my favorite quotes, Jim Rohn, some of you might be familiar with Jim Rohn. He's a well-known speaker and author. He says, only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have. Right? And where this relates to Facebook is we can't just post and run. And I would say this isn't just Facebook. This is any platform. It's by being a giver, by being a noticer, by interacting. Those are all little things that really add up. And this is the reason when it comes to social media, I really recommend that you don't hand it off to somebody else. I have a lot of folks who say, gosh, I just wish I could have someone do it all for me, which I totally get. And it doesn't mean you can't have an assistant or maybe someone helping you with some of it. But at the end of the day, social media is like the ultimate dinner party. Imagine having a dinner party with your 10 most important clients, but instead of you being there, you have your assistant there running the whole show. We would never do that. But when we hand off our voice to someone else, we miss kind of the best part of social media, the social part of it, right? The interaction part of it. So I mentioned being a good finder. And I think one of the big opportunities with Facebook still, and this has been true for a long time, and it's still true today, is celebrate your clients. Be a good finder. This is a picture of me and my husband when my hair was a lot shorter 10 years ago when we bought our house. And I will never forget this day. This was a huge day for us. Buying and selling a home, as you guys know, is one of the biggest moments in someone's life. It's right up there with getting married or having kids. And I remember this day. Our boys were so little at the time. And this was the day we got our keys. And I remember going through, I wasn't running through the house, but my boys were running through the house and opening up all the closets. And I took my phone, I handed it to our realtor. She took our picture, we put it on Facebook. And this picture to date has gotten more likes and more comments than almost anything I've ever posted on Facebook. And so I share this with you because I think it's just a great reminder that these are opportunities to celebrate our clients. Now, some of your clients are private and they're not on Facebook. And so you're going to celebrate them in other ways. But the other 60, 70, maybe even 80% of the people you work with are on Facebook. And what I've found is it's a really great opportunity. Instead of saying something like, close another one this week or another one in escrow, what if we turned the tables a little bit and said something like, wow, I had an opportunity to work with 2 amazing families this week, and I can't wait to see what's next for them. Right? You see how it feels a little bit different? It's less about you and more about them. They're more likely to share that with their friends and family as well. Another thing that we find is working really well on Facebook right now, outside of video, which we'll talk a lot about video today, I'm sure you're not surprised, but just being curious and asking simple questions to increase engagement. This is something all of you can do today. In fact, you could probably even do it right now. What I mean by this is there's a lot of power in asking a very simple question, a question that isn't tied to a link. There's no graphic. It's just a question. And you can see on the screen here, I have an example of what I'm talking about. So I have an example of Sam James. So Sam has been a member of our Get Social Smart Academy for about a year or so. And she said, I just listened to Katie Lance talk about posting text, especially on Facebook. I posted today, how long have you lived in your home? No picture or anything, just that sentence. And the response has been amazing. I haven't had this much engagement before. So she posted, how long have you lived in your home? And you could see I circled it in the lower right-hand corner. She had 68 comments. Now, this is something you could post to your personal profile. This is something you could post to your business page. But the simple question, I think, is something that's really interesting. And what I have found, if you're going to ask a simple question, you want to make it simple, right? You want to make it simple enough, almost a question where people can't help but answer, right? It's kind of like asking, what should I watch on Netflix this weekend? You're going to get 8 million, responses. Something simple, like how long have you lived in your home? What's the thing that you love most about your home? What do you love most about this area? What's the number one tip you would give someone when moving? What's the number one thing you would tell someone about moving to XYZ town? When you can ask a really simple question, you're going to get a lot of responses. Now, when you get a lot of responses, I would encourage you not just to like all of those, but to go back and leave meaningful comments, respond back to as many of those people as possible. And the reason why this is really powerful is because it sparks a conversation. Have you noticed on Facebook, if you've been on Facebook recently, I bet if you went on Facebook this morning, you may have logged in and you probably saw posts from today from your friends, but I bet you also saw posts from like 4 or 5 days ago. And you're wondering, why are those showing up? They're showing up because there's still a conversation happening in the comments. So if you post this, you get a bunch of questions, a bunch of answers, and you go back and respond. This is going to be something that over the next few days, you're going to have engagement on. And the beautiful part about this is a trigger to Facebook's algorithm that people like your content. So what this means is when you post your listing or your open house or something quote unquote business related that may only usually get 1 or 2 likes, you're probably going to get more engagement in that because you had a post over here that did really well, right? So I would absolutely encourage you to post a question, post something very simple. And you'll notice with this question that Sam did, I love how she used the background color. With Facebook, when you type a question or you type a little status update, you can pick a color. It could be a color or a little avatar, and it really kind of makes it pop. So do this today and then check in with me later. I would love to know how this works for you. So it doesn't have to be this question, but just think of a really simple question that you could ask that your friends and family and your colleagues, they can't help but answer. Okay. All right. The other tip I'm going to give you with Facebook is manage your Facebook feeds. And I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite hacks because I would imagine a lot of you did not know that you could do this. And I would actually love to know, as I'm talking about this, let me know in the chat, yes or no, if you knew that you could do this. So let me explain what it is, because you might be going, well, what are you talking about? Okay, on your phone, on Facebook, when you're on Facebook, now I have an iPhone. If you have an Android, your phone might look a little bit different. But on an iPhone, at the bottom right-hand corner, on an iPhone, and this might be in the upper right-hand corner if you're on an Android, you're going to see your avatar. You're going to see your little profile picture. When you click that, you're going to get to this page. And this page has like your memories and Facebook Marketplace and Facebook dating and all these things you may not even realize that Facebook had. And one of the buttons is feeds. When you click on feeds, you're going to see a feed of not just your regular feed, but you can tap on favorites and see anything that you favorited. You can look at just your friends. You can look at just groups, and you can look at just pages. And let me tell you, when I first discovered this, I was like, what? Because I don't know about you, oftentimes I'm scrolling through Facebook and I feel like I'm seeing like the same 10 people over and over again. Like Facebook only shows you what they want to show you, right? It's based on the algorithm. And the beautiful part about this is this allows you to be really intentional. Instead of Facebook being this like huge time suck where you jump in and like half an hour later, you're like, I have not done anything except looked at cat videos. You can now go into Facebook, and you can do this on your computer too. It doesn't have to be on your phone, but you can go right to your feeds. And I specifically love going to my favorites feed. Now you can actually add up to 30 people as a favorite. And the way you do that is you just go to that person's profile. So let's say you go to your best friend's page on Facebook, and there's a little button that says add to favorites. You can add up to 30 people as your favorites. Now, I find this is it works really well in real estate for those of you who are friends with some of your clients. Now, you may not be friends with all of your clients. It's a personal decision. But if you're friends with some of your clients, what a great opportunity to favorite some of your clients or your past clients. Why? Because when you favorite someone, first of all, they're going to show up in your feed more often now. But now you can actually go to your favorites feed once or twice a week. Take 5 minutes, scroll through that feed of your favorite people. And now you can be even more intentional, like comment, interact, do what we said earlier with Focus 5. And you can do the same thing with your friends list or groups or pages. It really helps in terms of being more intentional with Facebook. So like I said, did you know about this? I would be curious if you knew about this or not. Let me know in the chat. Just give me a quick yes or no if you knew about this. I'm just looking at the chat here. Jeffrey says no. Edward says I can't hear. You might need to just turn up your volume. I think it's good on my end. I'm seeing a lot of no's. Carol says nope, nope, nope. Okay. See, a lot of people, I'm telling you guys, this is one of these things. I discovered this, I can't remember, probably earlier this year or last year. And I was like, what? What's happening? So this is always one of my favorite things to share on Facebook. Okay, cool. A lot of no's. Rachel said, no, did not know this. Didn't know that, said Catherine. Okay, so if you didn't know this, I would encourage you, if you're at a place, actually, if you've got your phone handy, feel free to pull up Facebook, click on that to see where it is. Now, my feeds is at the very top because I go to my feeds a lot. When you get to this page, you may not see it right away. Facebook will usually show you like memories, groups, friends. They're going to show you what you interact with most. And so you might have to scroll down a little bit, but it is there. And again, if you have Android, it's going to look slightly different as well. Kristen said, I did this for Instagram, but not Facebook. Also never thought about using it to be more intentional and connecting with clients. Yeah, and I love that you said that, because I find that a lot of times with Facebook, the conversation is just around content. And don't get me wrong, content's important. Like I said earlier, what type of content is doing well right now? Asking simple questions, Facebook Live, Facebook Reels, Facebook Stories, Facebook Groups. Those are all doing well. Those are all types of content that are being effective for agents. But that's one piece of Facebook, right? The other part of Facebook is connecting and staying in touch with people. And if you've been in real estate a long time, I am almost positive you have had the experience of going somewhere. Let's say you go to your grocery store and you run into a client you haven't seen in a long time. And they say something like, oh my gosh, are you still in real estate? Oh, we just bought a house. And you're like, are you kidding me? Are you not getting my emails? Are you not getting my postcards? Like, it's hard to keep in touch with people over the course of time. So something as simple as putting on your calendar 5 or 10 minutes a day, maybe twice a week, to go into your feeds, to be intentional, to be a noticer, to engage with other people, it really does make a big difference over the course of time. Sherry says, I love that you can intentionally favorite. Yes, absolutely. I love that too. It's such a great feature. Okay, cool. So we've got Facebook. All right, let's get into some other platforms. I'm excited to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. So we're going to kind of transition a minute and get into LinkedIn, and then we're going to talk about Instagram in a second. So LinkedIn, for a lot of agents, I'll be honest with you, oftentimes is like the set it and forget it platform, where you may have set it up at some point and maybe you haven't done a whole lot with it since. I would actually be curious, those of you who are watching live, are you active on LinkedIn? Let me know in the chat, yes or no. Are you active on LinkedIn? And I would imagine it's probably going to be a little bit of both. It's usually kind of 50-50 when I ask this question. And by the way, if it's no, there's no shame in that. Okay. I do think there's also a myth that LinkedIn is just if you're looking for a job, and it could certainly be that, but there's a really big opportunity for real estate. And I actually love LinkedIn. Again, it's not as fun as probably Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, but the thing with LinkedIn is it's really one of the only professional social media networks. It's a little bit quieter. And LinkedIn is actually a really great place to connect with corporate clients, with people who are in the corporate world, with C-level executives. A lot of times, those type of people are not hanging out on Facebook, but you will absolutely find them on LinkedIn, which is really cool. I can see a lot of folks in the chat here. Someone says definitely active. Oh, define active. I creep and I auto post, says Tracy. I love the honesty. Stacy says, not really. I don't post, but I interact. Okay. By the way, the chat's private, so you can't see each other chatting, but I can see your comments coming through. Holly says, yes, I'm active on LinkedIn. Carol says, I always feel like LinkedIn is for job searches. Yeah. And I think that's part of what LinkedIn does, is it sort of positions itself for that, but it's so much more than that. I look at LinkedIn as really the ultimate place to kind of brag about yourself. It's really like the professional social media network to really shine about who you are and your expertise. Every other platform will tell you, don't talk too much about yourself, right? LinkedIn is kind of the place to brag. So we'll get into that here in just a second. Someone says, yes, don't use it frequently. This says Kathy. Tracy says, I have an account, but not active. Okay, not active. Okay, a lot of yeses and a lot of nos. Okay, so 5 tips here. Number 1, just like I said with Facebook, number 1 on LinkedIn, don't be a secret agent. If you haven't been on LinkedIn in a while, go to your LinkedIn profile, make sure in your contact information, we can easily see that you're in real estate and there's some place to contact you. It doesn't have to be your phone number, but at least your email, your website. We want to make it, we just want to make sure that we can contact you. So don't be a secret agent. Number two, optimize your profile. Now, I actually did a ton of training on LinkedIn over on my YouTube channel. If you really are curious about going deep into LinkedIn and how to optimize your channel, feel free to go to my YouTube. It's just at Katie Lance on YouTube. You'll find it. But in terms of optimizing your profile, there's a couple things that make a difference. You want to have an updated profile photo, just like you would on any other social media network. There's nothing worse than meeting someone for the first time and their reaction to you is, oh my gosh, you look nothing like your photo. And we've all been guilty of this, myself included. So if you get that, it is time to update your photo on not just LinkedIn, but all of your social media profiles. You want to make sure with LinkedIn that it's really clear that you're a realtor, what brokerage you're with, and specifically what area you are in, right? So obviously you're all in South Carolina, but like what specific cities do you serve? Having that be really, really clear in your about section, in your experience. You want to make it easy for people to find you. The third opportunity I look at is a great opportunity to connect on LinkedIn with other colleagues. So yes, other agents, lenders, your clients, your past clients. LinkedIn can be a great referral network for folks in your area, outside of your area. And what's nice about LinkedIn is that you don't necessarily need to know everyone in real life. Meaning, if I get a LinkedIn request, let's say you send me a LinkedIn request, and maybe I don't know you personally. What's nice about LinkedIn is LinkedIn will say, well, you don't know Linda, but Linda is a second tier connection, or Linda is a third tier connection, which means Linda and I have friends of friends in common, or friends of friends of friends. And I often will accept that type of connection. I might not be friends with Linda on Facebook because I don't know her, but I'll be friends with her on LinkedIn because we have mutual friends together, right? It's kind of like if a colleague sent me an email introduction saying, I want to introduce you to so-and-so. Or if I'm at a party and I meet Linda and she hands me her card, again, I'm not going to send Linda a friend request right out of the gate. I'll probably connect over on LinkedIn. This is also great, especially as you have conversations with prospects. Let's say you are at an open house and you've got some leads that you're following up with, or someone has been referred to you by someone else, or someone has come to your website and you're having some conversations and they're not quite a client yet. You're kind of in that prospecting conversation, that's happening. One of the ways to take that conversation from email to social media is to search to see if they're on LinkedIn. And if you see them on LinkedIn, you might then not just send them a friend request, but you might say, hey, John, I've really enjoyed chatting with you over these last, few days. Would love to connect here on LinkedIn, right? And so making that professional connection. The fourth thing I want to touch on with LinkedIn is there's sometimes confusion over should you have a personal or company page. If you are an individual agent listening to this, you just need one profile, which is the good news. You just need a personal LinkedIn account. A company page is more for an office, a brokerage, an association. For example, I'm sure SC Realtors probably has a LinkedIn company page. Your office or your brokerage or your franchise probably has a company page. If you are a team leader, you might also have a company page. But for an individual agent, you're just going to have one account, a personal profile, which is fabulous. The fifth thing I want to point out with LinkedIn, and by the way, everything I'm talking about is free. I know there's a paid part of LinkedIn. I am not a paid member. I think a free account is all you need personally. But the fifth thing I want to point out that is, I feel like not a lot of people know about, you can actually create free newsletters on LinkedIn, which is pretty fabulous. I talked a little bit about this in my last class, part 1, where we talked about AI and ChatGPT. We're seeing a lot of agents and realtors who are using ChatGPT and other AI tools to create great emails, great email marketing. I often find if you're a realtor, I would imagine most of you are realtors who are listening, you're probably really great at the business of real estate, but where a lot of agents struggle is in the writing and sometimes the marketing. Well, if you use a tool like ChatGPT, or maybe you love to write and you are a great writer and that's something you pride yourself on, you can actually create a free newsletter that, first of all, you send out to your database if you have an email database, but you can also send it out and post it on LinkedIn for free, and it'll go to your connections as well. So we do this. I do this probably once or twice a month. I'll send out a LinkedIn newsletter. As I'm saying this, I'm like, I need to send out my LinkedIn newsletter this week. So once or twice a month, we will do this. And with our newsletter, I love to write a newsletter that's based on content we've already created. So for us, we're already putting out some content on Facebook and Instagram and other platforms, YouTube. So we'll create a newsletter based on some of the content that's already out there. We'll link to some of that, and then we'll use LinkedIn's free platform to get that out there. So I have a whole tutorial on how to do this over on my YouTube. If that's something of interest, again, feel free to check that out. I'm just at Katie Lance over on YouTube. I'm just looking at the chat here. Sherry says, what if you have an original person and set it up as more of a business account? Is that a problem? It shouldn't be. If you've set up like a company page and you meant it to be a personal page, you should be able to switch that pretty easily. I have found LinkedIn support is actually really, really great. You can't really talk to anyone at LinkedIn, but that's not a surprise. You can't really talk to anyone at any social media platform. But any issues that I've had or folks that we've worked with in our academy with their LinkedIn accounts, they've reached out to support and they've gotten their issues resolved fairly quickly. So that's another nice thing about LinkedIn. I would go through their help. They have like a help menu, kind of a customer service menu, and there's a couple of forms you can fill out to sort of switch from a company page to a personal profile, or if there's any other issues you might have. They're really great. Okay, awesome. So we've talked about Facebook. We've talked about LinkedIn. By the way, if you just joined us a little bit late, welcome, welcome. We're talking all about social media for real estate. And the next thing we're going to get into is Instagram. So Instagram is owned by Meta, just like Facebook, but it is different than Facebook in a lot of ways, right? As a lot of us know, it's kind of like apples and oranges. And Instagram has evolved a ton over the last 5-10 years. I mean, I remember when Instagram first rolled out, it was just pretty pictures, right? And the biggest thing that you had to think about on Instagram was what filter are you going to use? And now we have Instagram stories, we have Instagram Reels, we have Instagram Live, we have all these different options. And so a couple of things I want to kind of focus on. And I have my Instagram QR code up on the screen again. So if you missed scanning it in the beginning, take out your phone, scan that, give me a follow. And by the way, don't just follow me, message me on Instagram and say, hi, I was on that webinar today with SC Realtors. That way I know who you are and I can follow you back and connect with you. Okay, so number one tip I'll give you with Instagram, and honestly, this applies to other platforms as well, but specifically Instagram, is number one, be thumb stopping. So especially with Instagram is like 99% something you're going to do on your phone, which is different than Facebook. A lot of people still use Facebook on the computer. You can use Facebook on your phone, but Instagram is all about on your phone. So we're holding our phone and we're doing this. We're just sort of scrolling through. And so being thumb stopping is something to think about. How can you stop someone in the news feed? And what I would encourage you to do is think about what gets your attention, what gets you to like or comment or post something, or or share or engage. And so that might be a video, that might be something that's funny or interesting, it might be something that's really colorful and eye-catching. And I think the thing to think about is we don't want to use Instagram as just like, a daily diary. It's not just everything that we're doing. It's not just every picture on our camera roll, but especially with what you're posting to your feed, I look at what you're posting to your feed as almost like an extension to your website. So if I were to go to your website, I would probably really clearly see what market area you're in. I would find out more information about your listing. I'd find out more information about you. I would find out more information about your community. And I like to think of your feed on Instagram in kind of that similar way. So if I go to your page on Instagram right now, I should be able to really clearly see, oh, she's a realtor. Oh, that she's in Charleston. Oh, and be able to see clearly who you are and what you're all about. Now, the beautiful part about Instagram stories is Instagram stories can be the not so perfect moments as you're out and about. I just did an Instagram story the other day about my Keurig, and I had to return my Keurig to Costco, and I had this whole coffee thing that happened. And you might go, well, who cares, right? When it comes to connecting with people, I find that sometimes the most mundane things are the most relatable, right? The most mundane things, like my coffee maker breaking and me having to figure out what to do with my coffee maker, or just some of the things that we just all encounter. The boring thing that happens on a Tuesday, oftentimes that's a lot more relatable than, oh, I climbed Mount Everest, right? Or something sort of, life or death. So think about being thumb stopping, especially in terms of your content. This is also where it's important to think about how we present things like listings and open houses and showing up on camera. Showing up on camera is one of the best ways to connect, to engage with people. And a little tip I would give you with video content, specifically on Instagram, is get right into it, right? So what all of us are doing with our phone, we've got our phone, we're kind of doing this like scrolling thing, right? If you're doing a video and your video starts out with something like, Hey everyone, I'm so and so. I'm a realtor in Hilton Head. I have already scrolled past you, right? So, a quick tip I'm going to give you for video content is get right into it. If you are sharing a video about the number one thing you love most about Hilton Head, let's get right into it. So, instead of introducing yourself, let's say, hey, I'm going to share with you the number one thing that I absolutely love about Hilton Head. Hey everyone, I'm so and so. I'm a local realtor. Let me share with you the number one thing I absolutely love about Hilton Head, right? And so you get right into it right away. It's going to grab me as I'm scrolling through Instagram, right? The second thing, which has to do again with videos, is leveraging Instagram stories, right? Which again are kind of the behind the scenes. Your stories are here 24 hours, but they disappear. Reels are permanent, so reels are going to be content either around listings or open houses. But I would also encourage you with your reels to give us a sense of what does it feel like in your town? What is your community like? What is your area like? And also sharing helpful things, helpful tips, frequently asked questions. If you're asked a question more than once, I would create a reel about that. You ever get asked something and you're like, if I get asked that one more time, that's a great reel. And guess what? You can share that to Instagram and also cross post that over to Facebook as well. I'm just looking at the chat really quick. Oh, no problem, Beth. Thank you so much. The other thing is our carousel posts. So carousel posts are posts on Instagram where you see multiple pictures, right? You can actually put up to 10. Some of you actually can put up to 20 in a carousel. That's a new update that's rolling out. This is fantastic for listings. This is fantastic for educational posts where you're sharing the 10 tips for moving to Charleston or whatever you're sharing. Those little carousel posts are graphics that show up, and they can also be videos. Again, they can be up to 10. Some of you might have the ability to put up to 20, but carousel posts are performing really, really well. And in some instances, carousel posts are actually outperforming reels, depending on what the content is. We're seeing a lot of folks, especially if you've been on Instagram a long time, look at your analytics for your reels. We are at the halfway point for 2024. I know for me, I'm looking at my Instagram insights. I'm like, what reels in the last 6 months have gotten a high level of reach, have gotten a high level of interactions? Those reels that have performed well, is there an opportunity to repurpose that content and go into Canva and turn it into a carousel, right? And so it's kind of this idea of working smarter, not harder. Post consistently, probably not surprising. I don't think you have to post every day, but pick a couple days and stick to it, right? And I would say the same thing for Facebook. It could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It could be Tuesday, Thursday. Pick a day and stick to it. Number 4, optimize your bio. So we talked about this with Facebook and LinkedIn, but optimize your bio. There's not a whole lot of real estate, no pun intended, with your bio. But with your bio, you've got to make sure that we know exactly what market area you're in and that you're a realtor. So one thing I would say about your bio with Instagram is the only really 2 searchable things on Instagram are your name and your username. So your username and your name might be exactly the same thing, right? My username on Instagram is @KatieLance. If you search @KatieLance, you're going to find me. But the actual name field on Instagram says Katie Lance, Get Social Smart, social media for real estate. I can add more than just my name. So if I was a realtor in, let's say Charleston as an example, I would say Katie Lance, Charleston Realtor, South Carolina. Again, you want to make it like ridiculously clear who you are and what market area you're in. That's one easy way to optimize your bio. So if I'm on Instagram and I'm searching Charleston Realtor, if you've got that in your name profile, it's going to pop up. I'm going to see that probably up at the top of my feed. Also, just like anything else, we want to make sure you got your contact information. Instagram now allows you to have multiple links in your bio, which is fantastic. So you can link to your website, you can link to, anything else that you might have. And then number 5 is focus 5. Just like we talk about this over on Facebook, take 5 minutes a couple times a week. And guess what? On Instagram, you can favorite people on Instagram also. So just like you can do this on Facebook, you can do this on Instagram. So if Instagram is more of your jam, more of your people are on Instagram, go through, favorite some of those, look at your favorites feed and spend a few minutes a week, like, comment, interacting. Again, small thing that makes a big difference. Okay, I also just want to give a quick example here too. So Amy Carroll, she's a great person to follow over on Instagram. She's a realtor out in Tampa. And her and I were chatting recently. Ironically, we were chatting on Facebook about this, but she says, I've been having great conversations on my IG stories. I find that conversations build relationships and relationships are what leads to opportunities. It's like people remember the point of social media is to be social. And I love that this happens because that's when opportunities arise. And I responded, I said, I love that. You're spot on. What a great way to phrase it. Conversations build relationships, and relationships are what leads to opportunities. And she responded and said, yeah, it's the secret sauce. It always amazes me when an agent follows me and I reach out. And one of the first things they say is they're looking for referral partners. Why would we refer business to each other if I don't even know you yet? If we don't even know each other? Same goes for agents who want to find customers on social. It doesn't happen with just a few feed posts, right? This stuff takes time because you have to know the know, like, and trust factor. It's the long game. And she's so spot on. I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and they know I love Hello Kitty. If you've noticed with my coffee cup, I've got Hello Kitty. People will mention that to me all the time. They'll mention things about my boys. They'll mention things about my cats. They'll mention things that have nothing to do with business, but oftentimes it leads to business because there's that relatability factor. They feel like they know me, right? Which is really, really cool. And I will also take this a step further. I'm going to talk about this next month in our content masterclass. When you do this, when you share a little bit about who you are in a relatable way, and you put out content that's helpful around real estate, around your local community, the beautiful part about that is that you will start to attract people who like your vibe. It's like the difference between attracting business versus chasing leads. Attracting business versus chasing leads. And I have to tell you guys, it is by far the best way of doing business, in my opinion, because what happens is people will say things to you like, oh my gosh, I see you everywhere. I feel like I know you. I feel like you're in my head. And those kind of people, when they're ready to work with you, they are ready to work with you. They are not shopping around, calling 12 different realtors. No, they know you. They've been following you on Instagram. Maybe they're connected to you on LinkedIn. They're watching you on Facebook. And a lot of times these people lurk, right? They are lurkers. They are not commenting publicly, but when they're ready, they're ready. And it is a really, really cool way of doing business. Thank you, Tishara. So the recording will be available over on SC Realtors YouTube page. It's probably going to take them, I would say, give them a few days because once this is over, they got to download it and upload it and all that stuff. But yeah, it'll be available over on SC Realtors YouTube page. So I've said this a couple times. This is a great thing to take a picture of and post to social if you're posting anything from our webinar here today. Relationships are built with these small, tiny interactions over the course of time. Every like, every comment, every share, it adds up. Again, it's just like real life. When we meet someone for the first time and then we run into them at the park as we're walking our dog, and then we see them at the Little League game, and then we become Facebook friends. It's the same thing that happens over the course of time, right? This is why being intentional on any platform you're on is really, really important. Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes left. I want to get into kind of putting this all together into creating a smart social media plan. I talked a little bit about this earlier. Time blocking, getting it on your calendar. I find that if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen, right? I also like to focus on being organized, focusing on pillar content. Pillar content is content that is timeless or evergreen. It's those sort of frequently asked questions. The beautiful part about that is with timeless content, you could post it today and you can repost it again 6 months from now, 12 months from now. You can repurpose it. Get organized again in terms of just when you're going to create content, when you're going to post. It could be as simple as getting it on your calendar, again, getting consistent, and again, focusing on relationship building. I have a screenshot here on the screen of my YouTube channel. I mentioned we've got a bunch of training over there. I do a lot of videos. I've got videos on AI. I've got videos on Instagram, ChatGPT, LinkedIn, everything we talked about. So if there's any particular topic, most likely I have it over on my YouTube channel. So just search Katie Lance and you'll find it. I think I'm the only Katie Lance talking about social media and real estate. A few other tips: create content, not just to promote you, but content your ideal client wants to see. You're always going to have a balance between promoting your listings, promoting your open houses, promoting your business, but also keep in the back of your mind, how are clients and prospects asking you things? What are like their pain points? What are common things that comes up? And if you can look at that, I would say look at your life as content. Look at that and turn that around to a piece of content that you share. It's going to be really, really helpful, right? Because now you're talking almost in your client's voice, right? Oftentimes we get kind of hung up in the jargon that we're all used to. We say things like MLS and CRM and SOI, and we say all these things that the average consumer has no idea what we're talking about. So I would say look at the language, look at your last few posts, and are you speaking like a realtor, or is your voice more like how an agent or how a client would ask you, right? Which I think is important. Another thing I want to share with you, and I'm going to drop this link in the chat. I shared this last time, but if you didn't download this, let me put this in the chat. Helping you get organized. One thing that's going to help you tremendously in terms of getting organized is using a content grid. And let me see if I can drop that link in the chat. Okay, so I just dropped it in the chat. Click on that link. And when you get to that link, it's going to ask for your name and email. Just put that in and we'll send this to you. This is a free gift I wanted to send you guys. It's a multi-page PDF that's going to help you tremendously with your social media strategy. What you're seeing here is basically a spreadsheet. It's got about 30 different content ideas. And once you print this out and once you download it, you'll be able to, and don't put your email in the chat. So I put a link in the chat. You'll see katielance.com/content grid. You're going to click on that link. It's going to pop open a little window and then you'll put your name and email in there. If you put it in the chat, once the webinar goes away, I won't be able to see it. So let me put it in the chat one more time. So katielance.com/content grid. Once you download this and print this out, this is going to help you tremendously in terms of figuring out what to post, content ideas. To be honest with you, a lot of folks will download this, print this out, and when they're sitting down a couple times a week to create content, post content, schedule content, yeah, no worries, Sarah, it's all good. Once they're ready to get going, they've got this right in front of them. Yeah, my pleasure, Keely. Okay. Like I said earlier, I said this a second ago, I'll say it again, leads you get from great content are so much better, right? When you're putting yourself out there, you're sharing helpful tips. Again, next month, when we get into content, we're really going to get into different types of content that help to generate leads. So stay tuned for that. That'll be next month. But yeah, the leads you get are just so much better, which is super exciting. I talked a little bit about ChatGPT earlier. Again, I've got a whole video. I've got actually a lot of videos about this over on my YouTube channel. But if you get stuck on ideas, you can use ChatGPT for video ideas and scripts, questions. If you're doing like an interview for Facebook Live or Instagram Live, you can use it to come up with ideas for reels or stories. You can use it for creating a social media content plan, AI images. If you're using Canva, I love Canva. Canva's a great tool. So again, if you get stuck, that's the great part about using a tool like ChatGPT. Obviously, with ChatGPT, we want to make sure we do our due diligence. We don't want to just blindly copy and paste. Of course, we want to read it over, double check for things like bias or fair housing. We want to add in our 2 cents, but it can help in a big, big way. And of course, when it comes to content, video content is huge. Again, in our masterclass next time, I'll be going even deeper into video. But the reality is most people retain 95% of the message in a video compared to only 10% of what they read in text. So getting on camera, I know for a lot of us, we don't always like how we look or how we sound, but we look how we look and we sound how we sound, right? You know, I always joke with people, it's not like I've got a lighting crew following me around, right? So video is a great way to connect with people in stories as well as your feed. And I shared some of these tips earlier, but when it comes to videos, I always say have a hook, have an easy call to action. And this goes back to what we talked about earlier, being thumb stopping, getting right into it, right? Instead of introducing ourselves in the beginning, we might say, do you need to? Or have you ever felt like this? Or the best thing you can do is this. And at the end, asking something really simple, like, do you agree? Like and comment below, or like and comment for more tips, or save this for future reference, right? So just those little tiny things, if you're already creating content, adding those extra little things to just sort of enhance your videos, get people to watch them a little bit longer, increase your engagement, can definitely make a big, big difference. And at the end of the day, everything we're talking about today answers this question of what does it feel like to work with you? You know, so often I'll go to an agent or broker's Facebook page or Instagram, and you know what's missing a lot of times is them. I have no idea what they sound like or what they stand for, what they're all about. And so adding in your personality into your content, I think is huge. Repurposing your content. Again, I talk a lot about this over on my YouTube channel, but it's this idea of not just one and done. If you're creating a piece of content on Facebook, you might as well repurpose it over on YouTube or Instagram. Again, it doesn't mean you have to be everywhere, but repurposing, repackaging your content. Again, we're at the halfway point for 2024. If you've already been doing a lot of this, look back. What did you post back in January or February that you could repost? Because guess what? Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to remember because we are inundated with posts and information. And so repost, repackage, repurpose your content. Stand out in a sea of sameness, right? There is a sea of sameness in real estate marketing. And one of the ways to stand out is to, again, be intentional, connect, engage, put out your own voice, and don't be afraid to share your opinion, your personality. Super important. Last few things, I've got just 4 more slides as we wrap up here today. I know we've got about 5 minutes left. If you have any questions so far, feel free to put your questions in the chat, but I want to share a couple of my favorite book recommendations as well. Let's see here. Charlie, I'm not sure what you're asking me. I see your question in the chat. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. So if you want to email me your question, or if anyone wants to email me, I'm happy to answer any questions through email. So 2 of my favorite books that I love, I want to mention Who Moved My Cheese? I would imagine a lot of you read this. This came out like 30 years ago. And it's about the little mouse whose cheese got moved. And we've all had our cheese moved, right? With AI, with the iPhone, with social media, right? And the thing is, this is one of my favorite quotes. It's not about getting thousands of followers. It's about getting the right followers, right? It's about knowing that there still is a huge opportunity. Like I said in the beginning, it's not too late, right? You're not too old, and there's lots and lots of opportunities. Another book I want to recommend, I read this just a couple months ago, and I absolutely love it. If you struggle with your marketing, copywriting, and writing at all in terms of like social media posts or email marketing, Smart Brevity. I absolutely love this book. It's about the power of saying more with less. I'm all about less is more in 2024. And so this is a fantastic read. I actually listened to the audiobook this year, so I would absolutely recommend that. I'm just looking at the chat. Shannon says, do you recommend what are the best times to post? The best time to post are when you're on social media, honestly. You could look at analytics. There's going to be analytics that tell you, oh, maybe post at this time or that time. But I would say pick 2 or 3 times a week that you're going to post, and make sure those are times where not only can you post, but you're also going to take a few minutes to respond to notifications, respond to comments, take time to scroll through your feed, be intentional. So time of day is not as important as it used to be. I know for me, I typically will do kind of a couple days a week, and I like to do it in the morning as I'm drinking my cup of coffee before I open up my email. But for some of you, it might be lunchtime or evening. There's not really a perfect time. Sherry says, this is a great book. I haven't read it in years. Yeah, it's probably the Who Moved My Cheese one, right? I know a lot of you have probably read it. It's a great, great reread. Okay, last couple things as we wrap up. I already talked about some of these tools. Canva is an amazing tool. I actually have a ton of Canva training coming up. So if you were over on my YouTube channel, stay tuned because I've got a bunch of Canva training coming up this month. Linktree is a great tool for Instagram where you can add multiple links in your bio. Meta Business Suite is free. You can use this to schedule some of your content for Facebook or Instagram. Repurpose.io is a great tool for repurposing your content. I've used this for about a year. I think it's great. By the way, I'm not affiliated with any of these tools, so I just use them. I think they're great. I recommend them. And of course, ChatGPT is great for coming up with ideas, helping with some of your writing as well. The last 2 things I'm going to say as we get to the end here today. Number 1, take the online offline. Take the online offline. One of the best things my mom ever taught me was the power of a thank you note, the power of a written word. And so as you're scrolling through your feed, look for opportunities to take the online offline. You see it's someone's birthday, you could be one of the 50 people that writes on their page, happy birthday, or you could be the one person that calls them today or reaches out personally or sends a card, right? There's a lot of power in taking the online offline. And especially if you're the kind of person where you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I love people, I'm a people person, then this is a big opportunity for you. Look at social media as an opportunity to take that online offline. All right, last steps as we get to the end here today. And I'm happy to stay on for an extra couple minutes if you have any other additional questions. A couple things. Take out your phone, scan the QR code. That's going to take you to katielance.com/SCR. Put your name and email in that link when you get there, and you're going to get access to my slides for today, as well as my class I did last month. So if you missed last month or you didn't download that, let me drop the link in the chat as well. And let's see, https://katielance.com/SCR. And I'll send this link over to the folks at SC Realtors so they can send this out also with the recording. I also have on here a little screenshot. If you're looking for a social media planner, I literally just published this over on Amazon. It went live a couple days ago. I'm excited to announce I'm like listed as the #1 social media book on Amazon right now, which is insane. I got a notification this week that my book had reached #1 for social media for business books, which is kind of crazy. So if you're like me, I love a great paper planner. The planner is about 130 pages. If you search Amazon, Katie Lance, you'll find it. It's up there. But the main thing I want you to do is download the slides. Those are absolutely free. That's going to be a great resource. And when this comes out on YouTube, watch the replay back. You know, this is one of these webinars where we covered a ton of information. It's nice to be able to go back, push pause, you know, look at the slides, be able to do some of the stuff we talked about. And as always, you can always reach out to me directly. I'll drop my email in the chat one more time, katie@katielance.com. I know we went through a lot today. If I missed your question, or if you have a question for me about anything, feel free to email me. I check my own email. I don't have a bot or any sort of AI tool. It's me. Same thing when you message me, it's me. So you can message me over on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you're at. All right. Well, with that being said, I want to be respectful of your time. We are at the top of the hour. I want to give a huge thanks to all of you for tuning in live. If you're watching this later on the recording, big shout out to you. Big shout out to SC Realtors for inviting me to be a part of this series. It has been so fun, and I can't wait for our next class next month where we're digging into content creation. I'm super excited about that. So thank you guys so much. Again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if you need the slides. I'm happy to share anything to help you in your business. Remember, less is more. Be intentional. Take one or two things you learned today and implement those immediately. All right. Thank you, my friends. I'm just looking at the chat. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Catherine. She says, this is great. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Sandra. Thanks for the congrats on the book. I appreciate that. She says, thank you. Great meeting you. Oh, awesome. Thank you guys so much. You are fantastic. You guys are awesome. All right, my friends, thank you so much. We will see you soon. I'll see you next month. All right, everyone. Bye for now.